Hi everyone, my name is Caroline McNally. I'm currently a junior at the University of South Carolina. In today's lesson, we're going to be talking about climate change. There are quite a few things to learn about climate change, and today we are going to talk about them. We will go over about what climate change is, how it is caused, and what you can personally do to help stop it and save our Earth. What is climate change? So, as most of you know, there are seasons in the year. In winter, the weather gets cold, and in summer, the weather gets hot. And depending on where in the world you are, the temperature could be really hot or really cold in those seasons. For example, South Carolina gets very hot in the summers, whereas the North gets very cold in the winters. And this is a difference of climate based on each area's geographic location. When the weather of a location changes, that is climate change. For example, if South Carolina was very hot in the winter, then more hot than it would usually be, that would be a change in climate. That change in the temperature is not good for the Earth, and that is caused by us humans. For example, when you are in a car going somewhere, the car runs on gas. And when you are driving that car, it releases chemicals into the air. Those chemicals that the car releases are bad for the Earth. It is not just cars, though, that release those chemicals. It is trains, factories, boats, meat factories, planes, and so much more. All of these bad chemicals that are released by these things are, but are not limited to, water vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and ozone. These gases that are released by our cars, our trains, our planes, factories, are called greenhouse gases, and these are what cause climate change. When greenhouse gases are put into the air, the Earth then absorbs them. The Earth absorbs them through their land, its air, and its water, which we as humans all use. When the Earth absorbs greenhouse gases, the temperatures of the Earth rise. This is bad for the Earth and every living thing on it, including us. When the temperatures on Earth rise, it causes more natural disasters to occur. These natural disasters are tsunamis, hurricanes, landslides, snowstorms, and many others. For example, when water vapor, a greenhouse gas previously mentioned, is soaked up by the atmosphere, it allows for hurricanes to be stronger and cause more damage to Earth. This is because hurricanes, which usually start in the ocean, are allowed to soak up more water vapor and more water, which makes them stronger and allows them to cause more damage and harm to the Earth that we live on and the places that we live. Although we may not feel big changes in the temperatures of our weather where we live, specifically in South Carolina, it might feel great to have the temperature be 80 in December. This is not good for the Earth. There are many places also that do feel these massive effects of the temperature changing. In very cold areas of the world, like the Antarctic, or specifically the North Pole where Santa lives, they can feel the temperature changing, which is not good for the animals. The temperatures are rising there, which causes the ice to melt. And when the ice melts, it puts more water into the ocean, but it also, when the water gets warmer as a result of this, makes it so the fish and all the animals in the ocean cannot live there, which then impacts animals like friendly polar bears. And polar bears need fish to survive, the way that we need food as humans to survive. And without that food, they are unable to stay there and live there. The polar bears also need the cold temperatures as well to survive. So the issue with this is that when polar bears can't eat, what happens then is they starve. And sadly, they then can die. We don't want polar bears dying, nor do we want people dying either. And that's why climate change is such a big issue. In addition, it can also impact us, just like it affects the Arctic. It may not be impacting us now, like it may affect the Arctic now, but it can. When the ice on these glaciers melt, or just the ice in the Arctic itself melts, what happens is that water that is melted goes into the ocean. And although we are very, very, very far away from the Arctic, when the water goes into the ocean, which we share with the Arctic, then the water levels rise. There is not supposed to be that much water in the ocean. And when the water levels rise, it can cause for some land to be taken up. And that may not seem like a big issue, but it can be. For many seaside cities like Charleston, Myrtle Beach, Hilton Head, what can happen is these places that are on the ocean can have their land taken away from them by the water taking over the land. Although Charleston is fine right now, in many years it could be underwater. This is the issue with climate change. Earth is okay right now, but if humans are not smart in helping decrease greenhouse gases, the temperatures of Earth will keep rising. And many natural disasters will keep happening, ice will keep melting, the oceans will keep rising, and humans will be at risk. This impacts our food supply, it impacts how we live, it impacts where we will be able to live, it impacts our air quality, it impacts every aspect of human life and every livable aspect that we would never ever assume, even to the smallest degree, that it could change. And this is why we are trying to stop climate change. We are trying to make it so climate change does not impact where we can live, does not impact our food supplies, does not impact the animals that live on our earth, does not impact the plants that live on our earth, and does not impact us in such a way where it is irreversible and we are stuck in a world on an earth that has been completely demolished by what we as humans are doing. It is our right as human beings that live on Earth to take care of it and to take care of everything that lives on it, including the people that we don't know, including the animals, including the plants, including the ocean, and even things that may not be living per se, but are alive and are organisms on Earth. Now that we have gone over what climate change is and what causes it, and how greenhouse gases impact us on a personal level, the animals around us in our world, we're going to talk about what you can do to help stop it so we can stop climate change before it gets to a point where we cannot return to normal life. So what can you do? Well, some of the steps are actually very simple and don't require big changes to our daily life. You can use reusable water bottles. Reusable water bottles are great because it doesn't require factories to use greenhouse gases and emit them into the atmosphere by making the plastic that we drink our non-reusable water bottles out of. And when you use a reusable one, it requires less greenhouse gas emissions, it requires less water usage, it requires so many things that can cause climate change and do cause climate change. So basically using reusable water bottles is a great way to start. Another great way to also reduce personal greenhouse gas emissions is to take public transportation or carpool with your friends. Instead of 4 people taking 4 cars, 4 people could all fit in 1 car and reduce the amount of gas released, which then in turn reduces the amount of chemicals and greenhouse gases released into the air. This is similar if you take a train or a bus as well. The same principle applies. Another great way to also help reduce climate change is by saving and monitoring how much electricity you use. Electricity can also be a factor contributing to climate change, as when you turn on your lights, turn on your water, the chemicals that are used to service those to your home cause climate change. So when you shut off your water or limit your showers to about 5 or 10 minutes, or shut off your lights when you're not home, it helps. It really does help. And I know that these are all small changes, but they're small yet impactful changes that don't impact your daily life to a huge extent, that can really, really help combat climate change and help stop it. So yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this little video about climate change, what it is, how it affects us, and what we can do as humans to help stop it. Just know that one, little thing that you do is not too little to help stop climate change. Every little act does add up and it does help. And if we all, as humans, work together to help stop it, we can do it. And although it might not be a huge issue that is impacting us today, it will be. So please keep that in mind, and I hope you enjoyed. Have a nice day.